Quotes 1 to 10. A superior man is modest in his speech, but exceeds in his actions. Ability will never catch up with the demand for it. An oppressive government is more to be feared than a tiger. And remember, no matter where you go, there you are. Better a diamond with a flaw than a pebble without. Choose a job you love, and you will never have to work a day in your life. Death and life have their determined appointments. Riches and honors depend upon heaven. Do not impose on others what you yourself do not desire. Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. Faced with what is right, to leave it undone shows a lack of courage. Quotes 11 to 20. Go before the people with your example, and be laborious in their affairs. He who learns but does not think is lost. He who thinks but does not learn is in great danger. He who speaks without modesty will find it difficult to make his words good. I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. I hear. I know. I see. I remember. I do. I understand. I want you to be everything that's you, deep at the center of your being. I will not be concerned at other men's not knowing me. I will be concerned at my own want of ability. If I am walking with two other men, each of them will serve as my teacher. I will pick out the good points of the one and imitate them, and the bad points of the other and correct them in myself. If we don't know life, how can we know death? If you look into your own heart and you find nothing wrong there, what is there to worry about? What is there to fear? Quotes 21 to 30. If you think in terms of a year, plant a seed. If in terms of 10 years, plant trees. If in terms of 100 years, teach the people. Instead of being concerned that you have no office, be concerned to think how you may fit yourself for office. Instead of being concerned that you are not known, see to the be worthy of being known. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. It is easy to hate, and it is difficult to love. This is how the whole scheme of things works. All good things are difficult to achieve, and bad things are very easy to get. It is more shameful to distrust our friends than to be deceived by them. Learning without thought is labor lost. Thought without learning is perilous. Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. Look at the means which a man employs, consider his motives, observe his pleasures. A man simply cannot conceal himself. Never contract friendship with a man that is not better than thyself. Never give a sword to a man who can't dance. Quotes 31 to 40. Old age, believe me, is a good and pleasant thing. It is true you are gently shouldered off the stage, but then you are given such a comfortable front stall as spectator. Only the wisest and stupidest of men never change. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. Silence is a true friend who never betrays. Speak the truth. Do not yield to anger. Give if thou art asked for little. By these 3 steps thou wilt go near the gods. Study the past if you would divine the future. Success depends upon previous preparation, and without such preparation, there is sure to be failure. The book salesman should be honored because he brings to our attention, as a rule, the very books we need most and neglect most. The cautious seldom err. Quotes 41 to 50. The expectations of life depend upon diligence. The mechanic that would perfect his work must first sharpen his tools. The faults of a superior person are like the sun and moon. They have their faults, and everyone sees them. They change, and everyone looks up to them. The firm, the enduring, the simple and the modest are near to virtue. The object of the superior man is truth. The strength of a nation derives from the integrity of the home. The superior man acts before he speaks, and afterwards speaks according to his action. The superior man is distressed by the limitations of his ability. He is not distressed by the fact that men do not recognize the ability that he has. The superior man makes the difficulty to be overcome his first interest. Success only comes later. The superior man thinks always of virtue. The common man thinks of comfort. The superior man understands what is right. The inferior man understands what will sell. Quotes 51 to 60. The will to win, the desire to succeed, the urge to reach your full potential, these are the keys that will unlock the door to personal excellence. There are 3 methods to gaining wisdom. The first is reflection, which is the highest. The second is limitation, which is the easiest. The third is experience, which is the bitterest. They must often change. Who would be constant in happiness or wisdom? To be wronged is nothing unless you continue to remember it. To go beyond is as wrong as to fall short. To know what is right and not to do it is the worst cowardice. To practice 5 things under all circumstances constitutes perfect virtue. These 5 are gravity, generosity of soul, sincerity, earnestness, and kindness. To see and listen to the wicked is already the beginning of wickedness. To see the right and not to do it is cowardice. Virtue is not left to stand alone. He who practices it will have neighbors. Quotes 61 to 70. Virtuous people often revenge themselves for the constraints to which they submit by the boredom which they inspire. We should feel sorrow, but not sink under its oppression. What you do not want done to yourself, do not do to others. When anger rises, think of the consequences. When it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust the action steps. When we see persons of worth, we should think of equaling them. When we see persons of a contrary character, we should turn inwards and examine ourselves. When you are laboring for others, let it be with the same zeal as if it were for yourself. When you know a thing, to hold that you know it, and when you do not know a thing, to allow that you do not know it, this is knowledge. Wherever you go, go with all your heart. Wisdom, compassion, and courage are the three universally recognized moral qualities of men. Quotes 71 to 80. Without feelings of respect, what is there to distinguish men from beasts? You cannot open a book without learning something. I hear, I know, I see, I remember, I do, I understand. It does not matter how slowly you go, so long as you do not stop. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. In a country well governed, poverty is something to be ashamed of. In a country badly governed, wealth is something to be ashamed of. When prosperity comes, do not use all of it. He that would perfect his work must first sharpen his tools. It does not matter how slowly you go, so long as you do not stop. It is better to light one small candle than to curse the darkness. Quotes 81 to 90. It is more shameful to distrust our friends than to be deceived by them. The father who does not teach his son his duties is equally guilty with the son who neglects them. Worry not that no one knows of you. Seek to be worth knowing. Ask yourself constantly, what is the right thing to do? Behave toward everyone as if receiving a great guest. The more man meditates upon good thoughts, the better will be his world and the world at large. It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. Silence is the true friend that never betrays. Everything has its beauty, but not everyone sees it. Respect yourself, and others will respect you. Quotes 91 to 100. To see what is right and not to do it is want of courage. Those who are firm, enduring, simple and unpretentious are the nearest to virtue. Forget injuries, never forget kindnesses. The gem cannot be polished without friction, nor man perfected without trial. The perfecting of oneself is the fundamental base of all progress and all moral development. If one learns from others but does not think, one will be bewildered. If, on the other hand, one thinks but does not learn from others, one will be in peril. Review the old, and deducing the new makes a teacher. Do not be desirous of having things done quickly. Do not look at small advantages. Desire to have things done quickly prevents their being done thoroughly. Looking at small advantages prevents great affairs from being accomplished. To put the world right in order, we must first put the nation in order. To put the nation in order, we must first put the family in order. To put the family in order, we must first cultivate our personal life. We must first set our hearts right. This equilibrium is the great root from which grow all the human actings in the world, and this harmony is the universal path which they all should pursue. Quotes 101 to 110. What you do not want done to yourself, do not do to others. Don't complain about the snow on your neighbor's roof when your own doorstep is unclean. Ignorance is the night of the mind, but a night without moon and star. It is not the failure of others to appreciate your abilities that should trouble you, but rather your failure to appreciate theirs. Virtue should be as common in the laborer as in the king. The wise are free from perplexity, the virtuous are free from anxiety, the bold are free from fear. Heaven means to be one with God. The superior man, when resting in safety, does not forget that danger may come. When in a state of security, he does not forget the possibility of ruin. When all is orderly, he does not forget that disorder may come. Thus his person is not endangered, and his states and all their clans are preserved. A man who does not plan long ahead will find trouble right at his door. To know that one knows what one knows, and to know that one doesn't know what one doesn't know, there lies true wisdom. Quotes 111 to 120. It is only the wisest and the stupidest that cannot change. He does not preach what he practices till he has practiced what he preaches. If we don't know life, how can we know death? Heaven means to be one with God. What is the sound of one hand clapping? Do not use a cannon to kill a mosquito. The gentleman understands righteousness. The petty man understands interest. Can there be a love which does not make demands on its object? A man who has committed a mistake and doesn't correct it is committing another mistake. When you have faults, do not fear to abandon them. Quotes 121 to 130. A picture is a poem without words. In a country well governed, poverty is something to be ashamed of. In a country badly governed, wealth is something to be ashamed of. He who wishes to secure the good of others has already secured his own. If a man remembers what is right at the sign of profit, is ready to lay down his life in the face of danger, and does not forget sentiments he has repeated all his life when he has been in straitened circumstances for a long time, he may be said to be a complete man. Sincerity and truth are the basis of every virtue. The scholar who cherishes the love of comfort is not fit to be deemed a scholar. It is man that makes truth great, not truth that makes man great. Is virtue a thing remote? I wish to be virtuous, and lo, virtue is at hand. The commander of the forces of a large state may be carried off, but the will of even a common man cannot be taken from him. The essence of knowledge is having it to apply it, not having it to confess your ignorance. Quotes 131 to 140. The superior man is firm in the right way and not merely firm. Don't be concerned others not appreciating you. Be concerned about your not appreciating others. Choose a job you like, and you will never have to work a day of your life. There are 3 elements essential in the matters of the state: food, military equipment, and confidence of the people in the ruler. Of these 3, military equipment is the least important, food being the second important, and confidence of the people being the most important. All men rather die of starvation than in war, but nevertheless, all men do die of old age. Lacking in confidence from the people, a state cannot survive. If you don't know how to live, why wonder about death? He who will not economize will have to agonize. Hold faithfulness and sincerity as first principles. Gravity is only the bark of wisdom, but it preserves it. Wheresoever you go, go with all your heart. Do not worry about holding high position. Worry rather about playing your proper role. Quotes 141 to 150. Don't complain about the snow on your neighbor's roof when your own doorstep is unclean. The superior man thinks only of virtue. The common man thinks only of comfort. Not to alter one's faults is to be faulty indeed. To go too far is as bad as to fall short. It is better to light one small candle than to curse the darkness. With coarse rice to eat, with water to drink, and my bended arm for a pillow, I have still joy in the midst of all these things. Without knowing the force of words, it is impossible to know men. Forget injuries, never forget kindnesses. If you lead on the people with correctness, who will dare not to be correct? There is the love of knowing without the love of learning. The beclouding here leads to dissipation of mind. Quotes 151 to 160. Behind every smile, there's teeth. By nature, men are nearly alike. By practice, they get to be wide apart. We have 2 lives, and the second begins when we realize we only have one. The gentleman understands what is right, whereas the petty man understands profit. If there is righteousness in the heart, there will be beauty in the character. If there is beauty in the character, there will be harmony in the home. If there is harmony in the home, there will be order in the nations. When there is order in the nations, there will peace in the world. He who knows all the answers has not been asked all the questions. If you make a mistake and do not correct it, this is called a mistake. No lake so still, but it has its wave. No circle so perfect, but that it has its blur. I would change things for you if I could. As I can't, you must take them as they are. Knowledge is merely brilliance in organization of ideas and not wisdom. The truly wise person goes beyond knowledge. A common man marvels at uncommon things. A wise man marvels at the commonplace. Quotes 161 to 170. The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. The funniest people are the saddest ones. Settle one difficulty and you keep 100 away. If one should desire to know whether a kingdom is well governed, if its morals are good or bad, The quality of its music will furnish the answer. Fix your mind on truth, hold firm to virtue, rely on loving kindness, and find your recreation in the arts. He who knows and knows that he knows is a wise man. Follow him. He who knows not and knows not that he knows not is a fool. Shun him. Before you embark on a journey of revenge, dig 2 graves. You will never know how sharp a sword is unless it's drawn from its sheath. When the wind blows, the grass bends. Learn as if you were not reaching your goal and as though you were scared of missing it. Quotes 171 to 180. One joy dispels 100 cares. Be not ashamed of mistakes and thus make them crimes. A youth is to be regarded with respect. How do we know that his future will not be equal to our present? The way of the superior person is threefold. Virtuous, they are free from anxieties. Wise, they are free from perplexities. And bold, they are free from fear. We take greater pains to persuade others that we are happy than in endeavoring to think so ourselves. When you see a good person, think of becoming like him. When you see someone not so good, reflect on your own weak points. Attack the evil that is within yourself rather than attacking the evil that is in others. What the superior man seeks is in himself. What the small man seeks is in others. If you don't want to do something, don't impose on others. If there were one word that could act as a standard of conduct for one's entire life, perhaps it would be thoughtfulness.
Quotes 181 to 190. The scholar does not consider gold and jade to be precious treasures, but loyalty and good faith. Music produces a kind of pleasure which human nature cannot do without. Lead the people with administrative injunctions and put them in their place with penal law, and they will avoid punishments but will be without a sense of shame. Lead them with excellence and put them in their place through roles and ritual practices, and in addition to developing a sense of shame, they will order themselves harmoniously. The green reed which bends in the wind is stronger than the mighty oak which breaks in a storm. The way out is through the door. Why is it that no one will use this method? The hardest thing of all is to find a black cat in a dark room, especially if there is no cat. We should keep the dead before our eyes, and honor them as though still living. A man of humanity is one who, in seeking to establish himself, finds a foothold for others and who, in desiring attaining himself, helps others to attain. Give a bowl of rice to a man and you will feed him for a day. Teach him how to grow his own rice and you will save his life. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. Quotes 191 to 200. When a person should be spoken with, and you don't speak with them, you lose them. When a person shouldn't be spoken with and you speak to them, you waste your breath. The wise do not lose people, nor do they waste their breath. Virtue is never left to stand alone. He who has it will have neighbors. People with virtue must speak out. People who speak are not all virtuous. I followed my heart without breaking any rules. Be strict with yourself but least reproachful of others, and complaint is kept afar. If what one has to say is not better than silence, then one should keep silent. Imagination is more important than knowledge. At 15 my mind was directed to study, and at 30 I knew where to stand. Men do not stumble over mountains, but over molehills. No matter how busy you may think you are, you must find time for reading, or surrender yourself to self-chosen ignorance. Quotes 201 to 210, Never tire to study, and to teach to others. The demands that good people make are upon themselves, those that bad people make are upon others. The superior man has a dignified ease without pride. The mean man has pride without a dignified ease. He who flatters a man is his enemy. He who tells him of his faults is his maker. The noble-minded are calm and steady. Little people are forever fussing and fretting. Humankind differs from the animals only by a little, and most people throw that away. If there were an honorable way to get rich, I'd do it, even if it meant being a stooge standing around with a whip. But there isn't an honorable way, so I just do what I like. If names be not correct, language is not in accordance with the truth of things. Not to discuss with a man worthy of conversation is to waste the man. To discuss with a man not worthy of conversation is to waste words. The wise waste neither men nor words. A lion chased me up a tree, and I greatly enjoyed the view from the top. Quotes 211 to 220, Do unto others what you want done unto you. It is when those who are not strong enough have made some moderate amount of progress that they fail and give up. Act with kindness but do not expect gratitude. A superior man in dealing with the world is not for anything or against anything. He follows righteousness as the standard. Your life is what your thoughts make it. If your plan is for 1 year, plant rice. If your plan is for 10 years, plant trees. If your plan is for 100 years, educate children. To see what is right and not do it is the worst cowardice. To be wealthy and honored in an unjust society is a disgrace. The man who says he can, and the man who says he cannot are both correct. A true teacher is one who, keeping the past alive, is also able to understand the present. Quotes 221 to 230, All people are the same, only their habits differ. Education breeds confidence. Confidence breeds hope. Hope breeds peace. Time flows away like the water in the river. A man without persistence will never make a good shaman nor a good physician. Writing cannot express all words, words cannot encompass all ideas. If either wealth or poverty are come by honesty, there is no shame. Things have their roots and branches. Affairs have their beginnings and their ends. To know what is first and what is last will lead one near the way. Anyone can find the switch after the lights are on. The beginning of wisdom is to call things by their proper name. When a wise man points at the moon, the imbecile examines the finger. Quotes 231 to 240, If I understand change, I shall make no great mistake in life. To be poor without murmuring is difficult. To be rich without being proud is easy. Those who cannot forgive others break the bridge over which they themselves must pass. Care not for want of place, care for thy readiness to fill one. Care not for being unknown, but seek to be worthy of note. Consideration for others is the basis of a good life, a good society. Wealth and rank attained through immoral means are nothing but drifting clouds. As the water shapes itself to the vessel that contains it, so a wise man adapts himself to circumstances. I am not concerned that I am not known, I seek to be worthy to be known. Where words lose their meaning, people lose their lives. I am not an originator but a transmitter. Quotes 241 to 250. A true gentleman is one who has set his heart upon the way. A fellow who is ashamed merely of shabby clothing or modest meals is not even worth conversing with. Have no friends not equal to yourself. Return good for good, return evil with justice. To study and constantly, is this not a pleasure? To have friends come from far away places, is this not a joy? If people do not recognize your worth, but this does not worry you, are you not a true gentleman? If your desire is for good, the people will be good. He who searches for evil, must first look at his own reflection. The nobler sort of man emphasizes the good qualities in others, and does not accentuate the bad. The inferior does. Without an acquaintance with the rules of propriety, it is impossible for the character to be established. I used to take on trust a man's deeds after having listened to his words. Now having listened to a man's words I go on to observe his deeds. What can a man do with music who is not benevolent?